Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this how-to guide. In this episode we're going to use one of my seasonal cluster stamps to create a background, and then we're going to stamp a centre image over the top. So we're kind of going to use the background as a stencil, but not. It'll all become apparent as we go along. Now this is a great technique to use with the stamps. Whichever pack that you purchase, you've got the actual main sentiment in it and the background cluster. So it will work with all of them, because we're going to use the background cluster for the actual base of the card, for the kind of like a stencil effect, and then we're going to use the sentiment for the centre of the card. So that's kind of how we're going to use them. Now we're going to want our black ink, and I'm using the StazOn black ink, and we're also going to want a coloured ink. Now in another how-to guide I show you how to stencil and elongate your stamp. Now this is another effect that's similar to this. However, instead of stenciling, we're using the stamp to create the background. So the first thing that I'm going to want is my stamp pad. Now you don't have to use a stamp pad, but I personally use one. It just is a good surface to be able to stamp onto. This is the cluster stamp already mounted onto my acrylic block, and I'm going to use the same ink that we used with the stenciling, because I want to show you the difference in techniques, but use the same colours, if that makes sense. You can use any colour you like, but I just wanted to kind of keep it in the same tones so that you've got an idea of different choices you have with the things that you have at home, because that's what it's all about. It's giving you ideas. Fair enough, I'm using my own stamps, but you know, you've got stamps in your collection, they'd probably work with my stamps. You've got stencils in your collection that would probably work. So I want everything to be able to work together. So I've just tapped the ink pad over the base stamp, and I just want to check that I'm going to get a good stamped image, and it does look as though I will. So that's on my scrap paper. So I'm just going to ink up the stamp again, and light gentle tapping motion across the stamp. This is, I don't know if I've just said, this is crushed olive, the same colour that we're using for another how-to, and it just gives you kind of like the same colour, different ideas. So I'm going to take a piece of the smooth stamping cardstock, and I'm going to start just at the top like that, press down, and that's a good stamped image to begin with. And then I'm going to ink it again, and light gentle tapping motion across the whole of the stamp, and then I'm going to stamp again just underneath to one side, slightly on an angle. There we go. So that kind of makes it look as though we're following the design on. I'm just going to stamp at the bottom. There we go. Now you can use this whether you use it downwards or across. You can use it on an angle. It's completely up to you. It just all works together. So we've got an image through the centre of our card. Next, we're going to want to stamp our sentiment over the top. So again, I'm going to tap it with my ink pad. This is now the black ink pad. I use black mainly for demonstration so that you can see it. And I do like the contrast between the black and the colour. And I just think for videos, when you use the black against the white card or the ivory card and the colour, it stands out so well for you to be able to see the effects that I'm talking about. So I'm just going to stamp on my scrap card. and that's stamped pretty well, so we can go for it on our main piece of smooth cardstock, the stamping card. Nice gentle tapping all over the stamp to get the ink onto it. There we go. And now I can take my cardstock that we've stamped the central design on, and I'm going to just go for the middle, and hopefully I'll get it straight. Press it down. There we go. And peel it away. And how cool does that look? Now what we could do if we were feeling really arty, we could carry on and elongate the design like we have on the other one. And that we could do with either the smaller clusters or the large cluster. Now we use the small cluster on the other how-to for the stenciling. I'm going to use the large one for this. Just going to try on my scrap paper to make sure we're going to get a good stamped image, and then I can stamp away onto my stamping card. So light gentle tapping, and then onto the cardstock itself. So I'm going to go for this area here, and I'm going to stamp over the card like so, and that elongates the design. I'm going to do the same at the bottom, so I'm just going to ink up the stamp again, and then we can finish it by adding this section here to carry on the design. There we go. And oh, that looks so good. So we've elongated it as well, and now we could finish it by inking the edges like the previous one, and it would just work on so many different projects, whether it's card making, scrapbooking, journaling. It's a good effect. It's like a shadow effect, and you're kind of stenciling using the same stamps that you've got in your stash, and hopefully they're going to be my stamps, the seasonal cluster stamps, and they're just so versatile. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching, and please check out the other how-to guides. There's quite a few building up now. We're building up a great library of guides. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.